The quiet city of Deltona, located in eastern Florida on the Atlantic coast, was shaken by the brutal murder of a young man. The body of a 25-year-old man named Patrick was found in his home, and the nature of his injuries suggested a personal vendetta by a perpetrator. Despite the identity of the killer being known almost immediately, no direct evidence was found to prove his guilt. As later claimed by the investigator who examined the case, the killer was a clever detective who left no trace of himself. Patrick De La Cerda was born in June 1992 in one of the most beautiful urban areas of Miami, Florida. He moved to the United States, where he soon married and had a son. De La Cerda came from a very friendly and happy family. His family worked in construction all their lives, and he was an exceptional specialist in his field. The family was not wealthy, but by big city standards, they managed well. After graduating high school, he decided to enter the construction industry to continue his father's work. When the young man was studying at university, his parents decided to divorce after nearly a quarter century of marriage. It is worth mentioning that they separated very peacefully, dividing their property without scandal. His mother moved to the quiet city of Deltona in the eastern part of the state, where she soon remarried. The grown-up son decided to stay with his father in Miami, where they worked together. Despite their parents' divorce, they were respected and professional in the construction industry. All family members were very close and regularly kept in touch. Patrick frequently visited his mother in Deltona and shared everything that happened there with her. He talked about his life, joys, and experience of meeting the girl of his dreams. Thanks to his Spanish-French roots, this young man had a bright appearance and enjoyed great success with the fair sex from a young age. However, he always considered the family he grew up in as model. Patrick was not one to pursue trivial and fleeting matters. He met the girl of his dreams on one of the popular internet sites. Searching for each other, he registered there and created an account on friends' recommendation, though he didn't quite believe it was possible. However, on an evening in June 2017, he met his future wife without much expectation. Suddenly, his attention was caught by a photo of a striking brunette with a bright and unusual appearance. She had large eyes and an enchanting smile that literally captivated Patrick. He decided to write the beautiful stranger, and she responded to his message, beginning a calm correspondence between them. The girl's name was Jessica. She was born in 1988 in the city of Orlando, located in Central Florida. After graduating from high school, she entered one of the local universities where she studied banking. After graduation, she worked in one of the bank's branches. A native of Orlando, Jessica was almost immediately attracted to the handsome young man. They correspond actively on the website for a few days and then decided to exchange phone numbers for the next few weeks. Every evening, they called each other and talked for hours about everything. The couple quickly developed mutual sympathy and trust, so they decided to meet in real life. Since they lived in different parts of the state, they chose a place halfway to meet. At the first date, Patrick realized that Jessica was the girl he had been looking for a long time, and now he didn't want to let her go. He immediately liked her, though Jessica was initially puzzled by their age difference. Being 4 years older than Patrick, Patrick called his mother and told her that he had met the girl of his dreams, whom he wanted to marry and start a family with. Patricia, hearing the joy and excitement in her son's voice, understood that he was serious and was happy for him. This relationship lasted several months and posed a significant challenge as the couple could only see each other on the weekends. They usually rented a hotel room in a cozy, secluded place and simply enjoyed each other's company. However, on Sunday nights, they would return to their homes as they had to go to work on Monday morning. In December 2017, after proposing marriage, Patrick moved to Deltona, where his mother lived, to be closer to his beloved. He bought a house in a quiet neighborhood there and started doing some renovations, preparing a cozy nest for his chosen one to move into. However, Jessica couldn't leave her job immediately, and they planned to have a housewarming party in early spring of the following year. On the eve of the new year, when the couple met, the young man decided to surprise his girlfriend. He arranged fireworks in the backyard, and while Jessica was admiring them, he got down on the knee, extended a box with ring, and asked her the most important question: whether she would be his lawful wife. Jessica was indescribably happy and of course responded with a yes. Patrick had been looking for the perfect engagement ring for a long time but hadn't found one in any jewelry store that was beautiful and stylish enough for such an occasion. He chose the best he could find to propose before the new year, but also ordered an exclusive ring from a jewelry workshop designed by the young man himself. Preparations for the wedding and future housekeeping continued for 2 months. The couple's choice was approved by their parents, and they were indescribably happy, getting ready for a new stage in their lives. On February 27, 2018, Patrick's father, Max De La Cerda, received a call from a courier. His father's number was listed as an additional contact. The courier reported that his son's order had been delivered to the specific address, but the customer wasn't opening the door or answering the phone. This was very unlike Patrick. Max said something must have happened to Patrick. Jessica immediately dropped everything and rushed to the groom's house as quickly as possible. Upon arriving, she immediately saw Patrick's car parked on the street, indicating he hadn't gone anywhere since she left. Jessica used her key to enter the yard and called out to her beloved several times loudly, but received no response. Cautiously, she opened the front door and was met with a horrifying sight: her fiancé lying in a pool of his own blood right by the entrance. Jessica immediately called emergency services, but the paramedics who arrived on the scene couldn't help Patrick and only declared him dead when the police arrived. Jessica, distraught, sobbed in the backyard of the house where Patrick had proposed to her 2 months earlier. Where one of the officers approached her, she simply looked at him and said she knew who had slaughtered her beloved and ruined her entire life. A young man who seemingly had neither enemies nor ill-wishers. Let's rewind a bit to the time when he and Jessica first met. Jessica had previously been acquainted with a wealthy businessman named Gregory Benders, who owned his own investment fund. Gregory was 20 years older than her and had literally swept the young beauty off her feet during her college years. The businessman wooed her with expensive gifts and took her to a luxurious resort, making Jessica believe she had found her only love. However, she soon began to notice some peculiarities in his behavior. Gregory rarely revealed much about himself to her. This relationship lasted almost 8 years, during which Gregory never introduced Jessica to his family or friends. They only met or went on vacations when he wanted. Georgie seldom invited his girlfriends to his home, justifying it by claiming he was too busy. Naturally, Jessica wanted a typical family life and to have children, but every time she brought it up, Georgie said it wasn't the right time. When she decided to break off the relationship, Georgie called her asking to her marry him. Jessica agreed, but nothing changed. They continued living separately, seeing each other only at Georgie's convenience. One day, Georgie was involved in a car accident. When Jessica heard about it, she quickly went to the hospital to visit him. However, before going, she decided to stop by his house to bring some things for Georgie. When she arrived and introduced herself as the fiancée of the homeowner, the woman who answered the door laughed and showed her ring, declaring that she was Gregory Benders' legal wife. Shocked by this revelation, Jessica decided to immediately separate from the business who had deceived her. However, for several years, her ex-boyfriend literally stalked Jessica, begging her to return and promising that he would soon divorce Demora. Jessica was no longer fooled and had already divorced him, but Bender continued to stalk her. He even paid hackers to infiltrate her accounts to find out who she was communicating with. That's how he discovered Patrick. Bender sent Patrick threatening messages, warning him to stay away from Jessica or else bad things would happen to him. Patrick, however, didn't care about Bender's threats. With much effort, Jessica obtained a restraining order against him, preventing Bender from approaching him. In 2018, during the initial crime scene examination, the investigator immediately ruled out robbery, noting that the nature of the mutilation indicated personal motives. The perpetrator literally harbored hatred for his victim, as evidenced by the body of a 25-year-old man. There were 4 gunshot wounds, 1 to the thigh, 1 to the chest, and 2 to the head. Additionally, experts found injuries and bruises consistent with a fall from a ladder, as the body was located on the ground between the front door and the stairs leading to the second floor. The investigator surmised that the killer had likely sneaked into the house and waited on the second floor for the homeowner. When Patrick unknowingly entered the house and went upstairs, the intruder confronted him, firing the first shot at his thigh. A wounded young man stumbled down the stairs and the perpetrator pursued him, shooting him in the chest and then finishing him off with 2 shots to the head. There was no evidence, no fingerprints, and no witnesses, which slowed down the case significantly. Bender's wife, Demora Sanchez, approached the police convinced that her husband was responsible, as he had been acting very suspiciously lately and she had found maps in his room. The police obtained a warrant to search the house, but only found a single chair casing that matched the casings at the crime scene. The trial against Gregory Bender began. He hired the best lawyers with the highest fees. The single casing wasn't enough to prove anything since the murder weapon was never found. However, Demora Sanchez came to court and testified against him. She presented photographs to the judge that led to his conviction. After several court sessions, Gregory Bender was finally sentenced to life imprisonment. The case was closed.
If you're into crime stories and documentaries, subscribe to our channel because we'll be posting loads of videos every day.